And we are here to talk the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I'm going to be talking a little bit in code today because if you watch my channel and you watch my live, yes.
Is the plane going down? Are we going to die? Why are you saying I'm sorry?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Housewife Historian. We are talking Real Housewives of New Jersey, the gift that continues to keep on giving. And we're also talking mainly about Real Housewives of New Jersey. Kim D and David from Behind the Velvet Rope did a Q&A in New York City on Tuesday, and I've been promising you guys a video with all of the details, so here it is. Yes, I met Laura Lee. I'm going to tell you guys all about it. We spoke. We had a lot of conversation. She was an open book. She let me ask anything that I wanted, and I appreciated that a lot. So I really want to fill you guys in on how everything went. City Winery, David and Kim, Q&A, tea, how it all went. Before you do that, guys, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on. It's super important. It makes a really big difference on the algorithm and getting my video out. So we're going to be talking Real Housewives of New Jersey, the gift that continues to keep on giving. And we're going to be speaking about Margaret's ex-best friend, Laura Lee Jensen, not Jenkins. My biggest apologies. Sometimes I'm ditzy sometimes. I don't mean to be. My mind is just in a million places at one time. So I've apologized. I texted her. She knows I'm sorry. So, okay, let's get into this. A couple of things I want to put you guys. Let's talk about. It was a Q&A at City Winery in downtown New York City. It was beautiful. They have a loft. It was a great setup. I was thankful to be at a table with my back to the wall. I love that. I noticed that there were about 5 very privileged looking men that did not belong there. Maybe they came for Kim D, or maybe they were producers. We also sat next to a lovely couple who came to support David. And it was a little bit difficult because you didn't know whose team everyone was on. And when David and Kim were giving gossip and answering questions, which I want to tell you guys, they did a great job. I think it was Kim D's assistant. She went around and made sure that everyone that wanted to ask a question really got a chance to. The only person that I didn't get to hear more that I wanted to know about was, her name was Emma, and I think she came in from Atlanta. So if you are Emma and you are at the Q&A, please DM me. Please find me on Instagram and DM me, HW Historian. I would love to chat. She had a lot of inside detail, I think about a lot about Teresa. So I wasn't really sure what all the correlation was. So let's talk about a couple of things though, since I told you guys I got an opportunity to meet Laura Lee. And honestly, guys, she was lovely. Okay. I work with people that are struggling with mental health and addiction issues that are reintegrating back into society. Number one, I can usually tell a bullshit. I mean, obviously, I can tell a bullshitter. And I did not get that vibe from her. I really got a very authentic and open sort of vibe from her. She was super nice. She let me ask anything that I wanted. She was open, and I think that that's what we are looking for in a housewife. Okay, we are looking for transparency. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of the cover-ups. Robin Dixon. I mean, we're just tired of it. We really want to have some transparency. And so we really get that from her. She had a whole table of people that were there supporting her. I think her husband was there, maybe her son, I'm not quite sure. When I got an opportunity to speak with her, we actually had went through the Q&A at the winery. Like I said, it was a lovely, people asked a lot of questions. One thing that I remember specifically, and I want to make sure that I put this in another video, so hold on one second. Don't be, if you are posting anything that is for somebody or against somebody, make sure, guys, you're not answering text messages, phone calls, or emails. The machine is up and running and the family members are on overtime. And just for right now, I'm going to put everything in another video, but I just want to tell you guys to be careful about phone numbers and emails and things that are reaching out to you. But where I was going with that is, first of all, if somebody said to me, why would if Laura Lee wanted to be on a show and Margaret was her friend, like, why didn't she just come on the show like Lexi did? Why didn't everyone kind of acts like Margaret threw Lexi a bone by having her on the show here and there? And she had her on there enough that we know her name, right? But at different times, I think that Margaret was really looking for content. Okay, let's go back a couple of years. So when they go to Teresa and Louise, they got 6 kids running around. Shit is going on. They know they're going to get content. When they go to Margaret and Joe's house, like, this doesn't just sound mean, but we get clips of them at home kind of grooming each other, right? Like nose hairs and her hands broke and wipe my ass. I don't know, all kinds of crazy stuff. So over the years, Margaret has done a great job of bringing in different friends and family members to sort of tell their story in order to really give content and depth to her own narrative. And when she did that, we saw a lot of her mother, Marge Sr. Okay, guys, think about it. We saw Marge Sr. a lot. We heard about Margaret's childhood. We heard about Marge's experience raising, being a single mom as a immigrant and raising Margaret in the 70s and being a party girl. And, now fast forward, we see that Margaret doesn't drink. We see Margaret's very uncomfortable around alcohol. And I think sometimes because of everything that transpired in her childhood with her mother that maybe is unresolved, we see it come out as she has a stigma against people who are in recovery. People like Jennifer Aiden, who use recreational legal THC after her kids go to bed. She called her just a disheveled drug addict. Okay, let's visit something else that stuck with me, and I think I was pretty much done with her at this point. Laura Lee's husband is in recovery. He's been sober for 7 years. Okay, to people that don't know what that means and the significance, let me explain a little bit for you, okay? The program of AA was created in like 1920 by Dr. Bill and Dr. Bob, and it was really the first thing that they had seen results for people to stop drinking. Because back then, when they were alcoholics, they would have terrible detox and shakes if they didn't drink, and they would end up in insane asylums because it was the 20s and 30s and they didn't really know what to do. They didn't know anything really enough about addiction. And now fast forward 100 years, we've made progress. And Laura Lee's husband has been sober for 7 years. And that is a big deal. So in the program of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, it is an anonymous program, as in what happens at the meeting stays at the meeting. A common saying would be what happens in the rooms stays in the rooms. It's a principle of the program. Why? Well, you know what? There's teachers that are alcoholics. There are judges that are alcoholics, and some of them stand up and tell their story proudly, and some of them don't. And they come to meetings and they need to be able to speak and know that whatever they share at that meeting stays there. And even their presence and attendance at the meeting is anonymous if they want it to be. So AA says the most important person in the room is the newcomer. Okay, the newcomer is the person who is just trying to build sober time. Maybe they've relapsed, whatever the case may be. They really are the most important person. So, sort of a I don't want to use the word like an acknowledgement, but I think that a lot of times people come into the program of AA broken, and so they sort of do a anniversary. It's a really big deal. So if you are a newcomer, you get a coin on your 30 days. So what happens is they'll announce, does anyone have any anniversaries today? Maybe somebody will stand up and say, I have 15 days today. And everyone will be like, that's amazing. Like one day at a time, keep going. And then the next person might stand up and say, I actually have 30 days today. And so they're like, oh my gosh, you come get your coin. And they walk up in the room and everyone claps and they hug the chairperson and whomever's running the meeting, and they get a coin. And so because the newcomer is the most important person, you get more coins earlier in sobriety when you're building your sober time: 30, 60, 90, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. And then I don't think you get another one for 5 maybe, and then 7. So the coins are a big deal. People will put them on their keychains. It's sort of a milestone, a reminder that they can do it, a reminder that one day at a time, don't overwhelm yourself. And that's there's a lot of meaning behind a sobriety coin in the program of AA. And so I think that Marge, she has to know that. If her best friend's husband had an issue and got sober through AA, Margaret would know about it because they would have been best friends. Margaret and Laura would have been best friends. Laura would have been sharing her experience dealing from, I'm sure that her husband probably was a totally different person when he got sober, because we are, right? The person we are when we're drinking or drugging is not the same person we are when we're sober. So I'm sure it probably wasn't a great time in their marriage or in their life. And I'm sure that she probably leaned on her friend. So when Laura Lee's husband tweeted a 7-year congratulatory coin saying, I have 7 years sober this month, this day, this week, or whatever. And for Margaret to go on and comment on this gentleman's Twitter and call him a raging drug addict, it's unbelievable. Please, I may not be quoting her tweet exactly what it was, but it was a long tweet. It was a couple of sentences and it was all derogatory. And she called him a drug addict, just like she called Jennifer Aiden a disheveled drug addict. Okay. Because she smokes legal recreational THC. And let me tell you guys something about this as well. Margaret, she is something else for that, because let me explain something to you guys. Just because marijuana is legal and people use it recreational doesn't mean that when you have children in a school system and your children are involved with other people's kids, they want, those parents, they want to know each other. And you're giving people a perception of Jennifer that might make another mom have a question mark in her head. What if she doesn't watch the show? What if, who knows? And then you're like, well, wow. And then Bravo flashes back to a clip of her like drunk or something. And it's just like Margaret really got off easy on all of this. And I think because drug addicts and people with mental health issues are the easiest target, okay? Just like people that are like sociopaths, because they pick on like animals and old people, bullies a lot of times too, they find the most vulnerable group and they pick on them. And that's exactly what these, more than just her, has done this season on the Real Housewives of New Jersey, on the show and off the show. Okay, you're giving a stigma to people and it's complete bullshit. The amount of DMs that I've gotten from people that have said they're in recovery. Some women comment that they've been in recovery for 20 years. Okay. Just because they don't announce it doesn't mean they didn't struggle with it. And because of people like Margaret and like the other couple who wanted to humiliate me, you are stigmatizing an entire group of people that are struggling with mental health and possibly addiction issues. There are a lot of people that have a dual diagnosis. What is a dual diagnosis? It means that they have mental health and addiction issues. Okay? And let me tell you something. That's about 75% of your audience. And if they're not dealing with it, trust and believe they have a son, they have a daughter, they have a niece, somebody in their family is likely dealing with some sort of mental health or addiction issue. And so it pisses me off. I don't like it. It's a stigma that people have a hard time overcoming, and it is hard enough. And they don't need people like Margaret Josephs, allegedly, who has a lawsuit. Guess what? You're breaking the law when you don't pay people. Does everyone understand that? You're breaking the law. You can't just go around not paying people. Just because it's civil court doesn't mean you're living this law-abiding life. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but some of these people are one DUI, one domestic violence away from a weekend in Franklin Lakes County Jail. Okay? We know they drink and drive. I mean, come on. Like, I'm just saying, like, literally, you're one DUI away from the county over here. So people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, and it's a stigma, and it's really got to go. I don't like it. I did not like when Margaret did that to Laura Lee's husband, so I made sure to ask her about it. And she stated that they found it really, they couldn't really believe it, that she had really done that, because she didn't say it was low, but obviously because it was so low, she said it was just they were kind of caught off guard and they didn't even really know how to interpret it at first because it was it was like so shocking to them. It was so surprising. And my assumption would be because Marge would have been present for the struggle of getting sober, the struggle of admitting that you're powerless over alcohol or whatever the case may be. There was a struggle there at some time. And so she likely was there for her friend. And they probably are thinking, like, wow, you are really heartless because you knew how hard of a time that was for us in our marriage, our family, or whatever the case may be. And now you're over here calling him a drug addict. And then you go on the show and you say that Jennifer is a raging drug addict. I mean, like, I don't know. I just feel like that's so shitty when Jennifer has to be a mom with kids in the school district, okay? Because moms are mean anyways. PTA moms are mean. They can be snobby. Let me tell you, I walked through Bryant Park in New York City on Wednesday and I met some of the snobbiest moms I've ever met in my life. So that's a real thing, and it's a really, really shitty of her to do that to Margaret, and it's shitty of her to do it to Laura Lee's husband too. And you know what? Actually, anyone else, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Again, when half of your audience, more than half, are dealing with mental health, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And it's really, really shitty when you have people that have huge platforms and they go on and they call people disheveled drug addicts and they comment on someone who has 7 years clean, sober, and you go on and call them a drug addict. I mean, it's the same thing. How long ago did I get in trouble? Almost 10 years ago. 9 years ago. And here come I mean, are you? I mean, I did everything. I did my parole. I did my APA. I did every single one of my 3 years. I paid everything. I have paid my debt to society and more. Trust me. Like, but that's not good enough for them. It's not good enough that I had my life was going good. I had something traumatic happen to me. I used drugs and alcohol to handle it, and I ended up in trouble and going away for 3 years. It's a long time. Let me tell you what happens in 3 years. You know, people die, right? People die in your family or around you. You don't get to go to their funeral. You don't get to talk, see them. Maybe you'll get a video visit. People die, people get married, people get divorced, people have babies. Life goes on, okay? So 3 years is a long time. And to come back and harass me and try to humiliate me when literally I now help women and help reintegrate and help our community, and you're trying to degrade me. So it's like they don't believe that people can have a second chance. Those kind of people don't want other people to have a second chance because of whatever they got going on within themselves. Okay. Because you have to be very sick minded and have a very sick perspective to go around the way and saying the things and the reckless things about about recovering alcoholics that you're saying. These are those are the things that make people relapse sometimes. You don't know what someone might be dealing with, okay? You just don't know. And it's really, really reckless. And it's really shitty to be employed by Bravo and have a platform by Bravo and to use it to call people who are in recovery 7 years clean a drug addict or an alcoholic. So that's my opinion on it. Again, I just wanted to touch base on that because people had asked again, like, if Laura wanted to be on the show, why couldn't she have just worked her way in like Margaret did when she brought Lexi around? And again, guys, I think I mentioned this before. Margaret really didn't try. She really tried to keep Laura Lee separate from the ladies. She didn't want them to develop any sort of relationship or connection when they were at the same events. She didn't want them to be in the same photos together because the highly publicized photos, the housewives, she didn't want people to see Laura because Margaret was looking at her as competition. Like Lexi is like a yes ma'am type of person. Laura looks like she would like smile and tell you to go F yourself. You know what I mean? Like while she's smiling, she'd say it so nicely, like I do, like I'm like smiling and so nice when I tell you to go F off. But yeah, I just think that Margaret, allegedly, she really just didn't want Laura Lee around. And that's my opinion. Also, I'm gonna throw a little bit of this in here. Oh, also Monica and Andrew. They were so lovely at the event. Andrew is a podcaster, and I'm gonna post his information too. I loved him. He was so nice, so gracious to me. I found him on Instagram today. I hope he's not mad because I would like put a post out like, "Hey y'all, can someone find my friend Andrew? Because I don't know his handle." So I was thankful for that. And my friend Monica, she was so lovely, and she had her table ready, and she had food ready, and we were hungry, and the food was amazing. Everything was really good at the winery. So again, Laura Lee, she was gracious. She was very pretty. She was fun. She was nice. She really seemed like a girl's girl. She was open. She was like, yeah, I want to be on the Housewives. Like, I'm at a time in my life, like I feel good, I look good, like my, everything, it just feels right. The timing is just right for me right now. So I'm not gonna deny it. I'm like, you know what? I love that, because that's exactly what you should say. And that's what Melissa should be taking notes on. Because if you want to be a housewife, there's nothing wrong with saying I want to be a housewife. Producers need to know you want to be a housewife. So yeah, really crazy. But again, she was just I was very pleasantly surprised. And that's my opinion. And I like to give you guys my opinion. Sometimes I like to give you guys facts, but I also like to give you my opinion, because it's nice to have someone who, before we had only heard about Laura, we had seen some podcasts, we'd seen some photos, we're hearing about her on the show, we're hearing about it from Kim D. But it's nice when you actually get to meet them face to face, read their body language. You can tell like people's, I don't want to say like necessarily like aura or energy, but like obviously you can be attracted to other, like you just sometimes, I think you get more from somebody when you meet them face to face. It's more intimate and you build a better connection. That's my opinion. And I think that she is beautiful. She was very pretty. She has it together. She has her makeup together. She has her hair together. She's got it together. She's got it together, honey. Okay. And she's got a husband that supports her. She's got family that supports her. She's got podcasts, people, fans that she's building. She's getting momentum. So I'm hoping, I don't know if she necessarily needs a publicist or not, but I'm sure that during the off season, she's going to be working, but she's getting the momentum that she needs, because you never know, producers could call up any day, any single day, and have her, but you never know. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to fill you guys in on my night in New York City with the Q&A. I did want to tell you guys, I'm going to do a separate video on this because people are getting phone calls. But the tea was, sorry, my hair. The tea from Kim D partly was that allegedly Joe Gorga called her attorney and called her garbage. Now, you guys know I got phone calls from attorneys when everything was happening, and they were like, some were bogus and some were real. And they use that to confirm your demographics, your name, address, and phone number. The attorney calls and acts like he's there to help you, right? But before he can move forward, he needs to confirm all of your demographics. And then he goes into a conversation about how he's personal friends with them and he can call them up and help you out. And he'll just charge you a retainer of, and then he says it. And that's when I was like, F off and have a great day. So it's important, guys. If you are a blogger, if you're a content creator, and your content is anything at all sort of not showing her and her family in a positive life, watch out. They're trying to hack you. Delete your DMs. Make sure you're careful in your DMs. That's where allegedly I got hemmed up. They'll send people to your DMs. They will find your phone number. They will do whatever they can. So it's important. Even this cease and desist came to a spam folder. So yeah, be careful out there in the streets of Instagram. And then also, guys, guess who blocked me? Joe Gorga. Damn, really? Okay, fine, that's okay. You can, it's okay. Anyway, guys, hope you guys have a great Monday. We'll chat more. Make sure you comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you have any questions for Laura. Like, we've chatted a couple of times since New York. That's how much I really liked her. She was so sweet. So if you have questions and you want to know, ask them, and I will ask her, and she will tell us, because I don't think she has anything to hide here. She's being pretty upfront. Just saying.